All right, so that's a good question. And to answer it simply, no. I don't think that you need to learn anatomy before you start trying to paint portraits. Welcome to Paint Talk, the weekly show where I answer your questions on oil painting. So if you have a question, leave it in the comments section of this video and I just might answer it on next week's Paint Talk. If you are new to this channel, my name is Chris Fornatero and I'm here to help simplify oil painting so you can get better faster. Now, if you're looking for full painting video tutorials, I do offer those, but they are on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description below. And if you want to see what I paint on a daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram at Forza43. All right, that is enough promotion. Let's get to your questions. Vinny K, it says, I want to be able to paint portraits. Do you recommend I learn human anatomy first? And should I learn how to draw portraits before I try to paint portraits? If yes, do you have any recommendations on good resources, books, articles, videos, etc.? All right, so that's a good question. And to answer it simply, no. I don't think that you need to learn anatomy before you start trying to paint portraits because you will learn the anatomy as you're painting the portraits. I think that the key is to have fun and to enjoy what you're painting. I mean, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn anatomy. You should definitely learn anatomy. It helps. I never really took an anatomy course or anything like that, or specifically studied anatomy. I just drew and painted so much that I just kind of picked it up. Looking back, it's hard to say whether learning anatomy would have sped up my progress, because I knew about anatomy and I saw it, and like I saw people teaching it and I'd see lessons about it and videos and stuff, but it honestly never clicked for me like why that was important. Like, I see why it's important now, but I didn't back then. So I wonder if I would have gotten that much out of it. I feel like if I went and did it, like took a course in it or learned it, I don't know how much I would have gotten out of it, because I wouldn't be understanding exactly why I'm doing it. It would have just felt like homework. I learned anatomy because I wasn't getting to certain places with my portraits, and you know, I would understand like a simple thing, like I would kind of figure out a certain way the face worked structurally, and how just knowing that it's there makes you able to see more. That's the biggest thing that I've come away from gaining more knowledge with facial anatomy, is that it allows you to see more, because you're gonna see something if you're looking for it. If you don't know to look for it, chances are you're probably not gonna see it, if that makes sense. Because for the longest time, like, I would just paint what I saw, and that seems simple enough. It's like, oh, if I'll see it, I'll paint it, and I know how to, you know, translate the form and shapes that I see onto, you know, the canvas or the paper. But what anatomy does is it gives you knowledge to know what to look for, and it also can help fill in gaps that are there, like in photo references and stuff. But as far as learning anatomy goes, the best thing that I've seen, most accessible, is Stan Prokopenko. I'll put a link to his page below. He's just got tons and tons, like endless videos on anatomy, drawing, painting, pretty much everything. Like, he's pretty much the top guy, definitely in the YouTube world in terms of drawing anatomy. So I can't recommend him enough. He has enough content to keep you busy for decades. So check out his stuff if you really want to dive deep into anatomy. All right, next question. All right, Jaya Shri Shinoy says, awesome, can you please tell us more about values, or how to identify values in colors, please? All right, so a very good exercise that I actually just recommended to one of my online students is to get about 5 to 10 different colors and lay them out on your palette in a random order, you know, lights, darks, whatever, doesn't matter, and find something to paint, something relatively simple, and, you know, set a timer and say, I'm going to paint with this color for 5 minutes, and then once that 5 minutes is up, I'm going to move on to this next color, and then another 5 minutes I'm going to move on to this other color, and so on and so on. So what this does is it makes you identify the value of a color. So say if you're like, you know, you got like an ultramarine blue, you're working with that, you have to look at your subjects like, all right, where, like, what values in the subject is this ultramarine blue going to be used for? Like, how value wise, and let's say your next color is like a bright orange, and you have to go, all right, where would this bright orange fall in the subject value wise? And so it kind of, in a way, gets rid of color because you're not trying to match color. You're being told what color to use, but you have to match the value. And it's a really fun exercise. You learn a lot, and you actually get a really cool, colorful painting by the end. So that's a really good exercise to help with value. Another thing is squinting your eyes. When you squint your eyes, it kind of knocks back the color on everything, and you can really see dark and light shapes. So that's a really good way to see value. Another way is taking a picture of your painting and put it in black and white. Take your photo reference, put it in black and white, and you can compare them and see, are your dark areas similar to the dark areas in the reference photo? Same with your light areas. So those are some ways that you can help improve seeing value. But honestly, it's just practice, practice, practice. All right, next question is from Kim Lanu. Hope I'm saying that right. It says, hello, how do you paint portraits when the picture is not quite clear to define the values and colors? I'm finding this to be so challenging. Well, that's, I always try and find a really clear photo. Whenever I'm working with a client who's commissioning a painting, I tell them, half of this is just choosing the right photo. Getting a good photo reference is going to make things so much easier. If you, for whatever the circumstances are, if you don't have a great photo to work with, try putting it on your computer, blowing it up. The best thing I could recommend that I do is I'll put it into Photoshop, and I'll, throw one of the paint filters on it, which kind of helps define what's going on value-wise, color-wise, structural. It just kind of breaks it down simply to help see what's going on. Maybe I'll try and play with the colors. A thing I like to do sometimes is I'll lower the highlights. You can actually do this on your phone too. You go to a photo and you go to the shadow and highlights, and you just knock the highlights down. So if you have a photo that has like a kind of a lot of blown out areas, a lot of really white areas, lowering the highlights will give you more, it will bring out more information in those areas that are blown out. You can also bump up the saturation a little more to see the colors and see what's going on. Other than that, there's not much other than that you can do. That's why, I always try my best to get the best reference photo that I can. All right, our next question comes from India Leah, and it says, great video. Thanks so much for taking the time to share your experience. I do have a question. What's your process for accepting commissions? Do you require several reference photos? Do you quote time frames? If you aren't comfortable answering, I understand. No, I'm perfectly comfortable answering. Yeah, commissions is such a strange, it's a weird thing to navigate. And that's why I always recommend people start taking commissions as soon as you can, because you're only going to get better with practice and kind of dealing with clients and figuring out what you need to do your best work. So if somebody contacts me and they want to commission a painting, let's say if it was a dog portrait, like, oh, I want you to paint a picture of my dog. I was like, great, send me, as many of your favorite photos of your dogs you can, and I'll look through them and I'll let you know which ones I think will translate into the best painting. Now, this is a good way to phrase this, because people, they have their favorite photos of their dogs and they like it for one reason or another, but a lot of times those photos just won't make a great painting. They might have certain things in it the client likes, but I just try and tell them, in my opinion, what will make the best painting. And I let them know that choosing the right photo is half of the battle. And if they give me, 5 to 10 photos of their dog, chances are it's gonna be a good one there. If there's not, I'll ask them, do you mind taking another photo of your dog? You don't need a camera, you can just use your camera phone. In terms of pricing, I tell them it mostly depends on how many subjects are in the painting and the size. A portrait of one person is going to be less than a portrait of two people. Also, I tell them, if there's hands in the portrait, that's going to increase the price. If there's going to be a background, that's going to increase the price. I don't ever talk about time frames really. If they bring it up, if they say I need this by, whenever, because it's their birthday, I'll let them know. I'll be like, well, I can't get it in that time, or I can't get it in that time. And also, whenever I do say the price of the commission, I will say this is the price plus shipping. All right, that's all the questions for today. Again, if you want your question answered, leave it in the comment section of this video. If you're looking for full real-time painting video tutorials, I have those on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description below. If you want to see what I'm painting on a daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram at Forza43. I'm Chris Fornatero here telling you to go get painting. Whoa, you're still here. You made it to the end of the video. That must mean you really like it. In that case, you should hit the subscribe button. You'd also probably like this video too. And this video. Please pick one. All right, this is getting awkward.